Are concerns that schools won't even be ready on the 8th of June, which of course is next Monday. But let's find out now about the private school sector. And I'm joined by the Executive Director of the Independent Schools Association of Southern Africa, Lebogang Montjane. Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us. What is your understanding now? I know that it was government gazetted that the 1st of June was the start date, and a lot of private schools took that and said, look, we're ready, we're opening today. But I understand there has been an update from the department. Could you share that with us?
Yes, good morning, Sally. The department has now sent out revised, amended directions, and they are not in keeping with what we had hoped as the independent sector.
So what do they say?
They basically are saying that the only time that an independent school can deviate from phasing in other than from an ordinary public school is that they need to go and get permission from the department of the Provincial Department of Education, which means, in effect, we do not know how long it would take for a school to be able to get that permission. And what we had hoped and thought we had agreed with the department was that an independent school would deviate. We would send a list of the schools that have made declarations that they're complying with the preconditions for opening, and they would be audited. Now, the directions in effect say that we have to still yet apply to the Provincial Education Department for us to be able to deviate.
All right, so let me be clear, because I think what you're talking about is not necessarily the opening this week, and I understand many independent schools have already opened, but more about how the other grades come on board. Am I correct?
Exactly. And for us, Sally, the difficulty is this. We have 3-term schools, we have 4-term schools. And so the school calendar, independent schools are given the right to be able to deviate from the school calendar policy as long as they fill out the dates that are due, fill out the dates, the number of days that are required for learning. Now, if, for example, a school still has to apply, and we generally know that processes in any kind of system take a long time, it may take schools a long time for them to be able to actually finally get to the date in which they enroll pupils. So our 4-term schools have 2 weeks left. Our 3-term schools are in session. So we are just hoping that we would make sure that we comply with the preconditions, and that we would then be audited at a later stage.
I see. So that's going to mean a bit of a scramble to sort that phasing in of the other grades. Let's move to this week. I know that some private schools open today. Others decided at the last minute not to open. What are you telling independent schools? Can they open this week? Should they not be open? Is it up to them?
No. Everything is determined by law, and the directions are very clear, Sally. Independent schools, like public schools, are able to admit grades 7 and 12. And now the difficulty with the amendment is that now we have to follow ordinary public schools or get permission from the department, and which means that we actually do not have certainty or the freedom to actually apply the regulations as we deem fit for our sector and for our individual schools.
I understand. I just want to take you back, though, to the opening of schools today, independent schools. Some schools did not open today. Some independent schools did not open today. Can they open now? The last Government Gazette notice said the 1st of June. Does that still stand? Is it then perfectly okay for independent schools to be open this week or not?
Every school can open on condition that it meets the public health requirements, and they can only open for grade 7 and grade 12 and no more.
Okay, well, thank you for clearing that up. And also, I note that it looks like you've got problems coming down the line. You now have to, you don't have the deviation that you thought you did, and you now have to renegotiate and get special permission to bring more grades back online quicker and earlier than perhaps the government schools are doing. Thank you very much for that news just in. That was Lebogang Montjane from the Independent Schools Association of Southern Africa.